Hi, it's Barb at Coach House Designs, and I'm working on my sample Forever Flowers. And I've done up a few blocks already, and I've come up with just kind of a little shortcut that I wanted to share with you just to make it a little bit easier and faster to put your blocks together, and to point out a method of ensuring for all the background fabric, which is a directional fabric, to always be going in the same direction easily without really too much thought. So if you look at your fabric, there's a slight tone on tone dotted line on the fabric, and we want to make sure that it's always going in the same direction when you're putting your blocks together. When you look at the quilt from a distance, you're probably not even going to notice, but it's nice to have it all going the same way so that when you are using it and cuddling with it on your couch watching your favorite movie, you can look down and go, look, all my squares line up properly. So I've set it up so that this square and this square, the lines go horizontally, and in this square and this square, the lines go vertically. And as you can see, this pink fabric also has the same directional lines in it. So I want to make sure that all of those are going in the same direction as well. For the points on the star or the flower, I also want to make sure that the lines on that are all going in the same direction, and that they are at a 45-degree angle to the background fabric so that it's consistent all the way around, and it kind of creates a nice effect. Same concept applies when you're dealing with the bow fabric, because it also is a directional fabric. So I have my center blocks all set to go in the same direction, and then I've done all of my points on the diagonal so that they all look the same. So how you do that? Okay, first of all, I work with 5 blocks at a time because I find that that's a nice number to get things done a little bit more quickly, but not too much to get confusing. So I take my background, and the other thing to keep in mind too, the great thing about doing it this way is that you can double check to make sure that the right side of this fabric is up, because it's very easy to make a mistake because you can see the lines on the back of the fabric, through the back of the fabric as well. So you got to pay attention to make sure, because you don't want to have to pick things out. So I'm going to set 5 of these in the bottom position here with the lines all going horizontally, and the same thing for the top, making sure that my fabric has the white lines on the top of the fabric and not upside down. So there's 5 of those. And then for the sides, I want the lines to go vertically. So I'm going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all going vertically. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then I'm going to take these, which are the flower colors from the layer cake. So put 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. So these are for the points. And then, whoops, I have my fan on in here because it's summer and it's quite hot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these guys are directional as well, so I'm going to make sure that when I put them down, they're all going in the same direction. And I want these guys, I've been doing it, so I want to just double check my previous one to make sure I'm doing it the same. So these guys are all going vertically. Like that, and like that. And these ones are the bows, also directional, and the bows are all going horizontally. Oops. Okay, so the way I do this is I take these two first and confirm this is definitely the right side on top here. Place this across. So like that. Then this one's going vertically, this one's going horizontally. Top corner with the lines going horizontally. Cut that. So then it goes like this. So open those up. Well, I don't have to, but just doing it so you show you what you're doing here. So then I go back and then I finish off these rows rather than going on to the green and doing all of these at one time. I prefer to get the 3 blocks together for the 9 patch for each row, because for me it just makes it more accurate. The more complicated I make it, the easier it is to be distracted by a ringing telephone. So I'm taking from over here and they're both going vertically. And then I'm taking from over here. Okay, here's a perfect example of something else I wanted to show you. As I put this together, I can see that this is longer. And the thing about layer cakes is that they're not always exactly finished squares. They're never smaller, but they can easily be bigger. So, and just see it's out by about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just gonna cut that off. If you're more comfortable going through all your squares initially before you start sewing, you can do that as well, just to make sure, because when you line it, say you start lining up your cuts along one side, and then when you get to the other side, because the square is larger, you're going to have a little bit extra on your final cut. So you won't really notice that when you're doing everything, cutting all your pieces at once. So it is a good idea to go back and measure and make sure that all of your squares are 2.5 and not some larger. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so now I've got all those 3 rows together. I know my fabrics are all going in the right direction. Then I'm just going to go on to my next one. So then I will pull from there and there. Make sure, oh, see, I even did that one upside. Why am I doing this without my glasses on? Okay, here we go. Double check, yes. And then I'll continue on doing these, adding the 3rd piece on, and then going to the next one. Now, in order to get your points for your flowers, so that when you're dealing, especially with the directional, it doesn't matter so much when you're dealing with an all over print that is not directional, because it's going to look the same regardless of how you put it on there. But when you're dealing with a directional print and you want it to have a 45-degree angle, you have to make sure that when you take your piece, the direction is up and down, so it's vertical, and it's vertical here, so that when you place the vertical on the vertical, then you're going to have your 45-degree angle. So the key is always place the pieces together, right side together, so that the design on the 2 fabrics is going in the same direction. So for another example, we'll take this green fabric with the diamonds on it, And the direction, this is the direction of this fabric, so that when I put it on there in the same direction as the underlying fabric, then it's going to be on the 45-degree angle. And actually, do I have any more of those? Here's the bows. The directions, this is the up, even though this is it goes horizontally, this is the top, and this is the top of this fabric, so that's what you're looking for. And then when we do that, it's going on the horizontal. So that's my tip for working with these particular fabrics. But as you see, if you've got a fabric like this, which is non-directional and just an all-over print, it doesn't matter which direction you put it on there, it's always going to look the same. So I hope that helps with a couple of tricks on how I put this together quickly and accurately, because I sew a lot of quilts, and it's important to come up with methods to make sure that you can do things quickly and accurately, because there's nothing worse than picking out. Hope you enjoy the pattern. Bye.